Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday morning live stream, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with me, Maral Salerno, the Gutsy Health Coach here inside the Gut Solution Group. I hope you guys are all doing well, that you're having success with overcoming your chronic digestive conditions. And today we're going to be talking about the Gut Solution guiding principles and beliefs. There's 10 of them. So they should be pretty brief, but there is 10. And I want to go through and obviously share with you all not only functional medicine principles, but also my guiding principles that make my program unique and make it successful for people. And so we're going to cover those today. And obviously, I help people to overcome their chronic digestive conditions, everything from constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating, SIBO, IBS, IBD, and the ones that you can't figure out. So I utilize a functional approach, a natural approach, a holistic approach, and a caring approach that supports you to overcome your chronic digestive conditions. So we are going to get started in just a second, but I just want to remind you all, quick housekeeping, that if you go and you're in the group and you go to the kind of top where there's like these labels, there's a place that says guides. And in that place, all the videos are organized so that you guys can get to things really quickly and really take advantage of the knowledge and information that I am sharing with you here in the group. And if there's anything that you would like to see, please feel free to either DM me here, message me here in the live stream, or DM me and let me know if there's anything in particular, or just post it in the group. And I encourage you to share your stories, share your challenges, ask questions in the group, and that way you can get the most out of it. Let's see. Okay, well, let's get started, shall we? So one of the first guiding principles and beliefs that I have that really guide my clients' experience in the Gut Solution is that your body wants to be well and wants to be healthy. Instead of thinking that we're going in and fixing it, rather we're giving the body what it needs, okay? And maybe also taking away the things that it doesn't need that might be hampering it, or not allowing it the space to be able to actually rebuild, so that you can reclaim so you can reclaim your gut health and overcome your chronic digestive condition. So that's the first principle. The second principle is that gut health is a lifestyle and not a destination, okay? So obviously you want to overcome your chronic digestive condition, and yes, that can be done for sure. And when you're done and you've reached your goal, you don't just go back to doing what you did before, right? You just keep going. You keep making the right choices for your health. You keep improving on your overall health, even if you've overcome your chronic digestive condition. And remember, the gut is the foundation of all the rest of your health. So if you can get your gut right, you get a lot of things right. Now, does that mean that everything will be perfect? Not necessarily, but definitely overcoming your chronic digestive condition means getting your gut in the right order, right? All right, number 3 is that we live in a toxic world. And so based on that guiding principle and belief, there's a few things that we need to do if our world is toxic, right? Because we have toxins that we know about, things that are like in plastics or chemicals or genetically modified foods or pesticides. Those are things that we know about. Some of them are in our control, some of them are not in our control. But we can make better choices, right? We can try to purchase only organic foods and eat clean foods, right? That would be an example. But there's also invisible toxins. And invisible toxins are basically like pollutants in the air, pollutants that are getting in our soil and in our water supply, and the like. Maybe even pollutants that are in our homes, the way our homes are built, right? So even though, yes, we know that there's chemicals and paint and floor and stuff, I think sometimes we don't think about them, so they're kind of invisible, you know? So what this means is that not only do we have to be detectives for our own health and be more mindful about the choices that we make, so like maybe purchasing an air filter, like I said, purchasing organic food, etc., doing our best to clean up the toxins that are attacking our bodies and that are really hard on our guts, because our guts have to process a lot of these toxins. But also making detoxification a way of life. Okay, so those are one of my major core principles and beliefs. Making detoxification a way of life. And there's a lot of ways that we can do this. One of them is, of course, you know, eating foods that will help to promote liver stimulation and liver activity that is healthy and strong, because the liver, for example, is a major detoxification organ in the body. But like something like sweating, right? Maybe you sit in a sauna, maybe you exercise and sweat. You know, it's going to depend on the person, what is going to be the best for your health. But sweating is a way of detoxifying the body. But nowadays, we have to upregulate the amount of detoxification we do, because we have so many more toxins involved in hampering our bodies. And I'll give you an example of this. People, for example, who are struggling with SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and that's where bacteria that's typically seen in large intestine occupies the small intestine and starts wreaking havoc. But those people, one of their tall tale reasons for getting SIBO typically is that they are storing a lot of glyphosate in their bodies. So not only are they probably consuming foods that have glyphosate in them, and glyphosate, if you don't know, is one of the main chemicals that is sprayed on our foods, right? It's glyphosate was created by Monsanto. That's the name of the company. And it wreaks havoc on the gut and has a lot to do with many chronic digestive conditions. But SIBO particularly has that. And so we'll see with people with SIBO, if I was to test them, I could see on a mycotoxin test that they would have heavy levels of glyphosate. So not only do they have to discontinue trying to do their best, because even when sometimes when we do our best, it still gets in, but at least, you know, reduce it substantially. Then there's that aspect, but also detoxifying the body, getting this glyphosate out, not allowing it to be stored in your organs, in your digestive system, and in your fat cells. Okay, really important. So this is what we got so far. 1, the body wants to be well and healthy. 2, gut health is a lifestyle, not a destination. And 3, that we live in a toxic world and we need to upregulate detoxification. Now, number 4 is the underlying contributors, identifying the underlying contributors to your chronic digestive condition. So what that means is that your constipation, your diarrhea, your SIBO, your GERD, your acid reflux, whatever it may be, those are not the underlying contributors. Those are the end result. Those are the end results. There are many things that are contributing to this end result. So identifying all of those factors, all of those stressors is crucial to being able to overcome your chronic digestive condition. And so once you can identify those things, and there's ways that we do that, we use lab testing, you know, correlation, understanding, etc. All of that helps us to then figure out what you need to remove, because those things are stressing your body, putting it into an inflammatory state, an inflamed, fiery state, where the body cannot rest, digest, and rebuild and heal itself. That is critical. And so one of the things that I also say to people regarding this is that, you know, people come to me and they're like, well, I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried this and I've tried that. And sometimes they're trying some of the right things, but the problem is one, they're not doing it for long enough. And two, they're only doing one thing at a time. You actually have to simultaneously remove as many stressors as possible so that the body gets really calm and strong, has enough strength and energy to then rebuild itself. And of course, we're giving it things that it needs in order to rebuild, nutrients, you know, supplements, herbs, etc., to make that happen, right? So that's really crucial. Again, I'm going to say that again because I think it's so important. Identifying the underlying contributors, so the reasons for your chronic digestive condition. Trying to identify as many of them as possible, removing the ones that we can, acting upon the chronic digestive condition, meaning doing good things for yourself, and giving the body enough time and removing as many of them as possible so that the body can rebuild itself. Okay. Number 5 is test, don't guess. So this is about stopping to throw darts in the dark, okay? And part of this is about that simultaneous removal of as many stressors as possible, but it's obviously about testing. So it's about getting the right kind of testing. A lot of conventional lab testing, as you guys have heard me say before, and you can look back on other live stream replay videos for this for sure. But one of the big things with conventional lab tests is they're usually not state-of-the-art, and they're also using lab reference ranges that are based on the homogeneous population, which is sick, right? People are sick. And the more people that get sick, then the labs expand those reference ranges to get wider and wider because the population is getting sicker and sicker. Now, this is problematic because if you want to help somebody get better, you want to base it on healthy people, right? If I want to help you get better, I got to compare your lab test to healthy people, not sick people. Otherwise, you go in and the doctor's like, well, nothing's wrong. That's part of it. It's also the state-of-the-art technology that I was talking about, because a lot of the stool testing that's available, for example, with conventional doctors, they don't use very good technology. So it's not doing a good job of detecting pathogens that you pretty much likely have. However, saying that, the lab tests that I use sometimes don't detect things as well. And so you've got to use an experienced practitioner to be able to decipher, based on what's going on with you and how you're feeling, what are the steps that you need to take to get better. Because just basing everything off of the lab test won't get you the right results, but also basing your results a little bit more on more accurate lab testing is critical. All right, number 6 is using natural and holistic remedies and solutions. So one of the reasons that conventional approaches don't typically work with chronic digestive conditions is because once you're showing up to your doctor, you've already reached the end result. And their 2 solutions that they have for you is surgery and drugs. Those are their 2 solutions because that's how they were educated and reared and geared, right? So that means that to really get you better, we got to go down the line as far as possible. We got to work as far downstream as possible so we can have a huge impact on your digestive health and get your gut health back. So using natural and holistic remedies, for example, isn't just going to go in and wipe out using drugs to try to just kill all the pathogens, and that's all we're going to do for 4 weeks, right? We have to begin to rebuild the entire terrain of the gut and of the body if you want long-term results, if you really actually want to overcome your chronic digestive condition and not have it return or have it go away for good, and also improve probably other symptoms that you are experiencing other than what's going on directly in your gut and in your stool, right? And natural and holistic remedies, they are part of the earth. They tend to be so much more healing and non-toxic, and typically they're using food, right? Herbs, beef, gelatin, all these kinds of things. These are all food elements that are very, very healing. And so you have to remember, one of the tall tale elements of a chronic digestive condition is someone who has had to take any kind of antibiotics during their life, who maybe has been trying to use these elements, these drugs, to try to kill off maybe pathogens, and they've done it repeatedly and it hasn't worked. So, remembering that, and I'm not trying to poo-poo drugs altogether. There are times where they can be helpful, but it's a very minuscule time for that. I mean, I've probably had one client in probably the several hundreds of clients that I've worked with that it's worked. So that's been my experience. Number 7 is the emotional body. So this will actually tie into number 8, which is the nervous system. But the emotional body, your emotional and your mental state, is a core guiding belief and principle that I have. So if your gut is damaged, yes, you probably could have been exposed to pathogens. You were probably making some poor choices of what you were eating, maybe being exposed to chemicals, all those things. And either as a result of that or even before that, what is your mental state? What is your disposition? What is your outlook on life? How are your relationships? All of these things will impact your gut health, will obviously impact your mind, but it will also impact your ability to overcome your chronic digestive condition. Huge piece, huge, 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 huge piece. And oftentimes people who have been struggling with a chronic digestive condition for a very long time, it will really begin to hamper their mental health and their emotional health. So looking at that is really critical. Now, the reason I say that it ties into number 8, which is your nervous system, is because your nervous system is all tied in to your brain, and it ties into all the hormones in your body and how everything responds to everything else. So oftentimes when you've been in a chronic stress state for a long time, which would be a chronic digestive condition, that is a chronic stress state. It doesn't just have to be that your life looks fine and your relationships are great, but actually having this health issue will cause a chronic digestive, a chronic stress state, excuse me. So what happens is the nervous system gets dysregulated. It becomes very sensitive. Likely you may have sleep issues, or maybe you sleep through the night, but you wake up not feeling rested. That would be an example. Besides, obviously, all the factors and feelings that you're having in your gut. So really making sure that your nervous system is regulated is one of the first and foremost essential principles in my program, and one of the things that I believe and I do myself, because it makes a huge difference in your ability to overcome your chronic digestive condition, meet your goals, and maintain it for the rest of your life. Okay. All right. Number 9 is support and coaching. Support and coaching is extremely, extremely helpful in achieving your goal, which is to overcome your chronic digestive condition. And I pride myself truly on giving people really, really wonderful and loving and educational and empowering support in my programs. And I try to do that here as well in the Gut Solution group as well. So I think it's crucial, because otherwise you're throwing darts in the dark, you're by yourself, and you may not have a very supportive social network, whether that's your immediate family that might be living with you, whether that's your friends, whether that's your coworkers. I'll give you an example of this. Let's say you're trying to make some changes to be helpful in overcoming your chronic digestive condition, and let's talk about food, okay? And you are out with friends and family, and you're trying to make a really good choice about food, or people are like, hey, do you want some of this? And it's something that you really shouldn't be eating because it's not helpful. And you say, no, thank you. And they're like, but why? No, why? Have some. And you're like, no, thank you. I'm really good. And they keep insisting. And you're like, I'm really trying to overcome this chronic digestive condition. And they're like, oh, okay. Or either they listen or they don't, and they keep pushing you. And that can typically happen with some family members for sure. So this is where having support with someone like a coach is really, really vital, so that you have somebody to bounce back with, someone who can keep you accountable, who can support you and love you, because you might feel alone sometimes. And that's because this world is so normalized. There's so much normalized bias about toxifying your body. And so having somebody to support you in your journey and to teach you how to root for yourself and stick up for yourself and not feel any qualms about it is absolutely crucial. So when you say no to someone else, in these cases, you're actually saying yes to yourself, okay? Now, lastly is number 10. So the 3 main parts of the Gut Solution program go like this. We do lab testing. So I find out what lab tests you need by talking to you. And then from the lab tests, we receive the results. From the results, I'm able to correlate that information to all of the forms that you fill out for me and all the conversations that I've had with you. And I basically correlate all of that information together to create a recommendation or a protocol journey for you. And then once we have that, you can start working on things, and I help guide you through your process. And then we meet up together and I give you support. And then we also have support together because we message together and I check in with you on a weekly basis, okay? So those are really the core principles and beliefs that make up the Gut Solution. That is really my baby and has really helped so many people overcome their chronic digestive conditions, everything from reflux to SIBO to constipation to diarrhea to gas to bloating. And it also helped me. And that's how I was able to create this program. I suffered from chronic digestive conditions for pretty much most of my life. I suffered from constipation particularly, and gas as well. And so, I know what it feels like to struggle with this, to have the place where you think it's normal, get to the place where it sucks and you're not feeling well, and then get to the place where you're finally ready to do something about it. And I encourage as many of you as possible that are listening to this, don't wait longer. Do something about it now. So if you are ready and you feel like it's your time, you have watched several of my live streams, you have been consuming some of the content, and you're ready to really overcome your chronic digestive condition and not only get over it, but achieve some of your other health goals, then please drop in the comments mentorship if you're ready to do that, to take those steps. And I will do my best as well in the comments to drop a link for those of you who want to schedule a qualifying call with me to see if we're a right fit and to see if you're a right fit for my program as well and get to know you a little bit better. For those of you who have made it this far and you're watching on the replay, please drop in the comments. Let me know what chronic digestive condition you are struggling with and how long you've been struggling with this for. And let's see, I'm going to just check and see if anybody has dropped anything in the comments. And I'm going to drop that link here. Okay. We are looking good. I think that's it for today. I'll just do a quick recap of our 10 principles, okay? 1, the body wants to be well and be healthy. 2, gut health is a lifestyle, not a destination. 3 is that we live in a toxic world and we need to upregulate detoxification. 4 is identifying your underlying contributors and removing as many stressors simultaneously. 5 is test, don't guess. 6 is using natural and holistic methods. 7 is taking into account your emotional and mental body. 8 is taking check of your nervous system. 9 is receiving support and coaching. And number 10 is the gut solution. Lab testing, results, protocol, support, and coaching. Okay? If you guys have anything to comment about that, please do so in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And feel free to drop any questions, comments, or share your stories inside the group. All right, I'm so grateful for all of you. Bye-bye.